Good morning to everybody. Today we have a seminar that will be presented by Beatrice Bellini and Paula Bruzzone from the University of Paris Nanterre. The seminar is about positive tourism. Beatrice Bellini has a PhD in strategy and management and is an associate professor at Paris Nanterre University. She's also responsible of an MBA in international marketing. She studies business models and marketing facing circular economy issues. Her research concerns value creation through environmental and social product service quality. She is the director of the UNESCO Chair in Positive Business, which aims to improve research and teaching for more responsible management practices. She's also expert for ISO about corporate social responsibility standards. Paula Bruzzone, Beatrice is French. Paula Bruzzone is from Uruguay, but he lives in France, and I will continue in Spanish. Paula Bruzzone tiene un máster en ecología y medio ambiente. Trabajó 5 años en la Universidad Paris Nanterre y en el Centro de Economía C3ED como ingeniera en temas de pedagogía y mediación medioambiental. Después de una experiencia como subdirectora de Asociación de Innovación Científica, Paula creó a la vez Ciencias, Innovación entre Ciencia y Sociedad y Utopía Verde, favorecer el conocimiento del medio ambiente. En particular, uno de los proyectos iniciales de Utopía Verde es la creación de un parque ecológico y pedagógico en Uruguay. Paula es también copresidenta de la red de actores de educación al medio ambiente de la región de París. Ambas van a presentar, Beatrice will present in English, Paula will present in Spanish, and they will present, I think, different aspects. Beatrice more concentrated in the general notion of positive tourism, and Paula will let us know some details about the project of Utopía Verde. Thank you very much for both Beatrice and Paula for being with us, and let's start with the show.
Thank you, Gabriel, and thank you for your invitation. I will share my screen to present the presentation. Up. Yes, you can see my screen now? Yes?
¿Alguien tiene un micrófono? Ah, ok. No hay. Por favor, verifique que no tenga los micrófonos abiertos. ¿Ok? Excuse me, Beatrice. There was a microphone open. And...
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So you can see my screen. It's okay? Yeah. Okay. So the presentation concerns positive tourism for sustainable future, and in particular, I talked about management because in Nanterre we are the first university in social science in France. And so we insist that in management, it is very important to change the models and the way to consider decision and decision-making process to really integrate social and environmental aspects. So at the beginning, I will present you the philosophy of positive management. We don't name it sustainable management or responsible management because in management it is very important to make profitability, and so we want to be in the mainstream of the management science. So you can see on this slide that positive management deals with not only economical aspects, but in the same time, social, environmental, and economical aspects. And we always see this scheme, but for example, in CSR report, there is part 1 on social aspect, part 2 on environmental aspect, and that is not sustainable because there is not synergy and it is not considered in the same times, the 3 pillars of sustainable development. So positive management aim to create economic value for the environmental and social quality products and service in order to make organizations sustainable. We talked about social product quality and environmental product quality because it's a way to value this sort of quality. Our positive business chair have been created in 2015, and the objective is to enhance sustainable decision in management, and in particular with new adapted and management tools in finance, in accounting, in marketing, because there is a lot of managers that are not aware of the environmental aspects and social aspects, and sometimes they can make choices that are really not sustainable. So make this choice for economical reasons, it's okay, but they have to know the environmental and social impacts of this choice. And that is our positioning. So in this share, we have 3 actions: research and management tools development, training and awareness activities, and networking activities. Our objectives is to change the content of the management science courses in all business schools in the world. So we have big objectives and issues. A second thing is that we always talked about product and service because 80% of the social and environmental impacts are defined during the design steps. So it's very important to consider the product and how we define the product to prevent the impacts. We always talked about business models because we have a big challenge in our world because we consume more and more resources, and we are more and more people. So we have to decoupling the consumption of resource with the well-being of each other, of everybody in this planet. So we also develop some particular tools in accounting and in strategy to change the business of firms, because today it is very important to have growth, economic growth, and I think that 99% of the time the growth is linked to resource consumption, and it is not sustainable. So changing the business model is not so easy. We, in the chair, we are not dealing with tourism activities. We deal also with food, cosmetics, chemistry. So we deal with all sectors, all activities, because all the management decisions making process are the same, and for the moment based on economical indicators only. I want to show you this scheme because, these schemes, because it shows that if we only limit the measure for environmental impacts to reduce water consumption in the rooms, for example, or energy consumptions in the restaurant, it is not enough. In fact, we have to think about the offers, the service, and we have to design differently the service to really have an impact on the environmental aspects. That's why we define 5 levels of firm strategy, and the level 5 is the objectives, to change the way we consider the offer and the tourism service or other products. And to go to this level, we have to change the consideration of the value chain and all the value chain actors. We have to better collaborate, to be more transparent, and to really share the added value. And that is a big problem, because today in management school and in management in general, we don't insist on confidence between actors. So this new model is based on confidence between the different actors of the value chain. And it is not easy. It is another way to consider the value chain, but it's very important to be aware of this change of mind. And collaboration between actors is linked with shared added value. Just to illustrate the business model, our business model approach, we have in the business models 3 elements: value proposition, that links to what we sell to the customer, the value architecture, that means how we define the internal and external value chain, and we have the value equation, the value, how we capture the profit in the global value. So for our point of view, we focus on the value proposition, because if we are not able to communicate on a level of environmental product quality and environmental product, social product quality, it is very difficult to have added value, to create economical value. So today, there is a lot of communication about social and environmental products. And sometimes some firms that develop good programs are not, it is difficult for them to valorize their programs because of the communication. If we advise firms today, it is more easy for them to communicate than to consider their product and service. That's why it's very important to recognize the good practice and the good product and service to really create value. And our philosophy is to base this assessment of quality on accounting indicators. So in all firms, we have accounting figures. And so we think that marketers have to prove their quality level with the accounting figures. So we developed tools for that because it's important to give the proof to the consumer. Just to take an example, in the agri-food activities, this is first the definition of social quality product and environmental product quality. But I just take this example in agri-food activity. It is a milk, and 5 years ago, they produce a milk with the consumer. And the specification of the milk was made with the consumer and the firm. And they define a product with social and environmental quality. So when they sell this product, it was 53% more, the price was 50% higher than the first price. But it was a great success because they managed to sell it and to take in 3 months 1% of the market share. It was a great revolution because it is a proof that if we communicate on social quality of a product or environmental quality of a product, we can sell more at a higher price the product. And all the price is transparent. The consumer was ready to pay, for example, 6 centimes for the cows to be in pastures. And they are ready to pay 9 centimes per liter for fair remunerations of the producer and things like that. So we have transparency of the cost, and so the consumer are ready to pay for that, are ready to pay more for that. So just to finish my presentation, it is very important in the product and in the offer assessment, to consider the 5 steps of a product life cycle and not only 1 step. These 5 steps are procurement, production, distribution and marketing, use and end of life. And all our tools are based on these 5 steps. And sometimes it is very difficult because we consider the impact, the global impact, and 80% of the impact can be in the procurement steps. And so we have to discuss with people in this procurement step to help them to have little impacts. And the problem is an accounting is linked to accounting standards, because we don't see the social benefit and the environmental benefit in the accountability, in the accounting, the balance sheet, for example. And so we developed tools to see this social environmental benefit, to enable to develop more efficient program with more money. Why with more money? Because we sell the product at a higher price because of that. In the share, we have a positive tourism project. So I put the definition of positive tourism: simultaneously reconciles the objective of economic profitability with environmental and social issues. It is very important to consider the 3 pillars in the same times. We have project with Institute Paul Bocuse, and the students say that they never consider CSR aspect linked to the economical aspects. It is very important to realize that when we develop an environmental program or a social program, it costs more money. So it is very dangerous for the profitability of the business. And if we don't create value with that, it is not really sustainable for the business. That's why our message is based on 3 pillars simultaneously. So we develop specific tools for tourism service, and the objectives is to implement practices that are adapted with the local context and cultures. That's why it is impossible to develop tools, for example, Uruguay, without Uruguayan firms and people. We can just co-construct tools because the cultural and local aspects are very important. We never talked about global approach we always talked about local construct approaches. And to finish my presentation, I just share some activities we have for the moment in tourism sectors, in tourism activities. Within the chair, we have a positive tourism group with one meetings each 2 months, excuse me. We have also a positive management European project with a conference that is planned in Cagliari in May 2022 and focusing on recruitment of European manager. We organize also positive tourist conference and seminars like today, for example. And we have also an international positive tourist network with researchers and professionals in different countries in the world. And we have some more operational projects like the course with Institut Paul Bocuse in positive business and experiential marketing. I mentioned that it is not CSR course or sustainable course, because we don't want that. We just want that the management change, integrating social and environmental aspects. And we have also partnership in Cameroon with Mercator, who organize meetings, large meetings in Cameroon. And we have also research project in Colombia with researchers network, Colifree, is an NGO with French and Colombian researchers linked with our embassy, French and Colombian embassy. Thank you very much for your attention, and I give the scene to Paula. I don't read the expression.
Thank you, Beatrice. I can't share my screen. ¿Me puedes dar la mano?
Verónica, ¿le das para compartir el...?
It's okay now, Paula.
Okay.
Paula debería poder compartir.
Sí, ahora creo que va a estar bien.
Bueno, seguimos en castellano entonces.
No, esto no es.
Las preguntas las dejamos para el final, ¿ok? Para todos.
Sí, sí, mejor. A ver, ¿puede ser este? No. Sí, creo que sí.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay, Paula.
Thank you. Bueno. Ahora les voy a presentar nuestro proyecto que está relacionado con todo esto que presentó Beatriz sobre el turismo y el business positivo. Es un ejemplo de una actividad que el grupo de la cátedra de Positive Business ha seguido y nos acompaña para poder mejorar este proyecto. Yo, Paula Bruzzone, soy presidenta de la asociación Utopía Verde, que es una asociación francesa que creamos en el 2019. El objetivo de esta asociación es hacer que la gente conozca mejor el medio ambiente para que pueda actuar para proteger el medio ambiente, pero sobre todo gracias a su conocimiento. Y para eso desarrollamos útiles pedagógicos para diferentes públicos, en particular para los jóvenes, pero no solamente. Y hay un proyecto piloto de Utopía Verde que se desarrolla en Uruguay. ¿Por qué en Uruguay? Está relacionado con la historia de Utopía Verde. Utopía Verde nos creamos a partir de un proyecto de parque ecológico y pedagógico que había sido propuesto hace unos 5 años en un encuentro internacional que hay todos los años en Europa de uruguayos que viven en los diferentes países de Europa y que son representados por asociaciones de uruguayos en el extranjero. Y en 2018 fue desarrollado en París ese encuentro y lo que se propuso es que se pudiera presentar un proyecto innovador y el grupo de los franceses propuso un proyecto de parque ecológico y pedagógico para el Uruguay. Entonces ese proyecto empezó de esa manera y poco a poco buscamos dónde poder acogerlo, si puede haber un primer parque en algún lugar, desarrollar también los útiles pedagógicos que se van a presentar durante ese parque y dio lugar a la creación de la Asociación Utopía Verde, que va más allá del Parque Uruguayo, que tiene por objetivo también de poder que este piloto pueda servir de inspiración para parques en otros países y la metodología de la creación de este parque sirva para la creación de otros parques y por eso nos asociamos a la cátedra de Positive Business para poder crear el parque a partir de estos objetivos de turismo positivo. Bueno, la idea es cómo se desarrolla y cómo se hace el turismo y el desarrollo positivo a largo plazo. Entonces, la idea era que tuviéramos en cuenta los ciudadanos y los deseos y las necesidades de los ciudadanos para los productos y los servicios. Como decíamos hace un rato, como decía Beatriz, basarse sobre los locales y también los turistas que van a visitar el parque. La idea es de promover un mejor modo de vida y evitar el greenwashing, evitar de hacer cosas que no se van a realizar y que no tienen realmente efectos en el proyecto. El parque ecológico actualmente estamos en relación con la Asociación Cristiana de Jóvenes de Salto, que tiene un predio de 50 hectáreas que desde hace muchos años están tratando de desarrollar algo para poder desarrollar un proyecto pedagógico y cuando les hablamos del proyecto de parque les entusiasmó mucho y estamos viendo cómo podríamos aplicar a ese territorio con la población local, con las instituciones locales y cómo poder atraer también turismo a partir de este terreno y a partir de las propuestas pedagógicas que se pueden traer. Entonces, las funciones que se desean realizar con este tipo de parque es de traer turismo, de hacer una función de educación pedagógica, de protección de la ecología y del medio ambiente y una función económica porque también la idea es de que el parque pueda vivir y que pueda también traer una riqueza al territorio. Les presentamos el análisis de la calidad del parque a través de 3 pilares, el pilar social, el pilar medioambiental y el pilar de la calidad económica también, que están los 3 relacionados. Por ejemplo, a partir del criterio de la calidad, del nivel de la calidad social del parque. El objetivo es crear empleos, por ejemplo, para plantar, para mantener, queríamos tener también para las abejas, para hacer miel, enseñar, animar, desarrollar una oferta pedagógica. ¿Por qué no también tener puestos de venta de miel, de productos que se produzcan en ese territorio, en ese terreno, y comunicar? Entonces, bueno, lo juzgamos en este tablero sobre una escala relativa de un nivel de calidad económica importante, a través de esta entrada del empleo. Las condiciones de empleo también, porque la gente que vamos a emplear, el objetivo es que tengan un empleo seguro, que sea pagado correcto, que los contratos sean a largo plazo y que se emplee a gente que vive en ese territorio. La manera también de incluir la promoción hacia la gente socialmente mixta, la audiencia, la población que venga al parque sea socialmente mixta y que haya posibilidad entonces de que pueda venir la gente según que todo el mundo pueda venir. También poder desarrollar el saber, la sabiduría, a través de cursos, de conferencias y de descubrimiento del parque. El parque es, hoy en día se sabe que tiene un acceso fácil, hasta 14 kilómetros de salto a través de el automóvil. La pregunta es si se puede desarrollar también de manera de que se puedan usar otros medios de transporte que sean más ecológicos, que se pueda venir a pie, que se pueda venir en bicicleta, que se pueda venir a través de transportes en común. El ejemplo de ahora la parte medioambiental, el nivel de la calidad medioambiental. Es un gran predio de 50 hectáreas, habíamos dicho, con lo cual podemos valorizar el nivel de la calidad económica. Las especies animales hay que definirlas, hay que hacer un inventario. Las especies vegetales hay un primer inventario que está realizado, se sabe que es esencialmente eucaliptos, pinos, y hay una vegetación nativa que hay que desarrollar. Existe, pero habría que desarrollar más. Tiene 2 lagunas, hay que definir la calidad del agua y cómo desarrollar el aspecto de las lagunas. Y hay 2 cabañas que no tienen saneamiento actualmente y cómo desarrollar toda la oferta para que la gente pueda venir a hospedaje. Aquí les damos un ejemplo de los objetivos de la manera de ver del positive turismo. La idea es que pueda ser de manera transparente y que se pueda tener confianza, como decía Beatrice. Entonces, el nivel de la calidad que se pueda hacer de manera que financieramente haya objetivos que sean concretos. Y eso es lo que estamos tratando de desarrollar. He terminado la presentación. Si tienen preguntas hacia mí o hacia Beatriz, pueden hacerlo ahora. Podremos responderles con mucho gusto.
Gracias, Paula. Bueno, a ver si abrimos entonces a preguntas, comentarios, sugerencias, demás. Muchas gracias por la presentación, muy interesante a ambas. Así que, let's start with the questions, comments.
Excuse me, Gabriel, could I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Please.
In your management courses, do you integrate social and environmental aspects, or is it different courses as sustainable development, water management, or things like that?
The question is for me or for?
For everybody.
So.
For the courses in general. Or.
So please repeat me the idea because I didn't catch it. So if you include some environmental things in our courses.
Yes. economy or accounting or things like that.
You
And
know, we are to be honest, it is very poor still. This part of teaching in the economic background. We do research in this area. For example, with Martin and Vero, we have some papers about the impact of the environmental quality on economic growth and on tourism, for example, let's say. But for example, in our master in economics, we don't have a course of environmental economics, to say.
yeah.
Okay, so
But yes, you know, it's better don't to have a course about environmental economic, but to have a course of economic integrating environmental and social.
Sure. You know,
this
is a big problem that is connected with what we teach in our degrees in economics. Okay, so because what is dominating the teaching in economics is the mainstream idea of economics. Okay, for example, we have very less on environmental economics, but we also have very less on, for example, behavioral economics, and we have so many econometrics, and we don't have much of statistics, to say. I think in general, Beatrice, we have in economics, we have to rethink on what we are teaching. And one of the problems is that we are not integrating the environmental part, the sustainable part, and the behavioral part of economics and other things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I
yes. Thank you for your
question or not.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. That's why it is discuss and to, because we have also a problem of knowledge from the professor. It is quite difficult to teach something we really don't know, in fact, or there is not really tools to teach that. I saw a question in the chat.
Sorry, because I lost your last part. So there is a question.
Yes. Yeah.
There is a question from Sandra.
Yeah.
So she wants to know more about the case of the project or the relationship with your partners in Colombia, or in general. She wants to know if there is an example of positive tourism in Latin America or other developing countries. I can add to this. Can you present us some paradigmatic examples of positive tourism?
Yeah.
So the question is for both, for Paula and for Beatrice.
Yeah. I think that it is difficult today to develop really positive tourism or positive product because of the accounting standard, the international accounting standard. It is very difficult for managers to take decision considering social and environmental impacts because we only ask them to make money. And as a social program and environmental program cost money, the trend is to cut this program, above all in the COVID-19 context. So our objectives is to develop another way to consider good business and to help manager and CEO to choose more sustainable solution with the help of new tools. As I said, there is a problem of tools today, and we don't talk about that. We have a real lack of management tools. And for example, there is a lot of managers that don't know what is a social product quality. during the 5 steps I show you. And so it is very difficult for them to make the difference between communication solution, good communication for solution, and really social solution. So that's why we have to develop sensibilization, above all in schools, about these new tools and the need to develop new tools. I think that there is no international standard concerning social and environmental aspects, because the expectation of consumer in France regarding social or environmental impacts are very different from yours. So it is very difficult to build an international tools. We have to build local tools. That's why it is very important to have this sort of exchange, to understand that it is not possible to solve the environmental and social international issues with our management tools we have today. So that's why it's the first part of my answer, and the second part is
you're not very optimistic.
Yes, I'm optimistic because we are exchanging today about that. So I'm optimistic, but I'm also realist. It is not, I think that it's better to know well our position, the state of the art, and after make good programs to succeed. And it is not a way to be negative. It is just a way how to succeed. It's to have a realistic consideration of management today. And that even if manager and CEO want to do some more social and environmental programs, it's more easy for them to develop communication that really efficient things, because it's cost more money and we don't have sufficient feedback from this action today, because we don't sell, you know, social and environmental impacts remain intangible assets. We have to make this tangible assets in the balance sheet. We have to see them. And concerning the program in Colombia,
so it's an issue of education more than
yes, it's an issue of education. But you know, even the EPCC or IPBES, but biodiversity, they don't talk about that. And it is so easy for them to say, we have to change. We have to change our way to live, our way to consume. But how? How can we change if we keep the same tools, the same performance indicators? It's not possible, because we keep always the same road and we don't turn. So we have to turn, and we have to make synergies between us, and we have to realize that it is not.
Maybe this pandemic is a shock that could do, you know, people thinking about this also.
Yeah, and you see that some very well-known scientific review about health said we have to make a program like to succeed with COVID-19. We have to make the same programs to succeed to global warming. But how? Because it is on management issues, and I think that we have to communicate about these issues. For example, when we developed programs with Colombia, we communicate about that because it is very difficult. I don't know if in Uruguay you have an American influence, you know, but in Colombia we have a lot of United States influence. And so the business remain business, and we talked about win-win. In France, we don't talk about win-win. We talked about...
No, maybe Paula could say something about this from the case of Uruguay.
So I stopped that.
But in general, we have more a European approach to
Yeah.
the business.
Paula?
Yes, I can.
In Spanish, if you want, Paula.
En español, bueno, sí, sí, puede ser que haya una influencia europea en la manera de pensar, es cierto. Bueno, sí es lo que decía Beatriz sobre la importancia del win-win y cómo crear eso. Ahora es lo que tratamos de crear con la idea del parque. Nosotros venimos, pero nuestro objetivo no es que traigamos financiación europea u otro para crear algo según lo que nosotros queramos y crear una financiación que después vuelva a Europa. La idea es que se pueda co-construir con los valores locales y que todo eso se pueda desarrollar y que cambie esa manera de pensar. Por eso también nos asociamos a una asociación local y una asociación que estuviera con esos valores. Pero cuando vamos a desarrollar el parque, la idea también es de desarrollarlo con los industriales, con las empresas, y ahí vamos a estar bloqueados si la manera de pensar no puede no se puede agregar con todo esto que decían los nuevos útiles que propone la cátedra de Beatriz.
Me parece es muy difícil, digamos, convencer a la gente local también. Primero hay un problema de capital, ¿verdad? De capital físico estoy hablando, ¿verdad? En general las áreas que uno quiere desarrollar son áreas pobres, ¿verdad? Que gente que no tiene dinero para montar un negocio, digamos, ¿no? ¿Sí? Y a su vez, además de ser pobres por el lado del capital físico, también en general es gente que no tiene formación, ¿verdad? Y entonces es difícil convencerla también de que no solo importa hacer dinero, ¿verdad? Es una finalidad. Excuse me, Beatrice, are you understanding what I'm saying now? Beatrice?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that the problem in general in Latin America is that the destinations where we want to help them, as Paula said, in general, they don't have physical capital to develop a business. Secondly, in general, they don't have a good education. You know, they don't have a background in the things that you have to know from in the tourist area. You know, they don't know about hospitality or restaurants or things like this. So what we see in general is that at the end, a lot of destinations in Latin America do not have a development for the residents or with the residents, but they have a development that comes from outside. Here in Colombia, for example, is very famous the case of people from Bogota or Medellin that go to the Caribbean area or the Pacific area, and they develop hotels and resorts and things like this, and they don't use the local people. They don't involve the local people in the development of their business, but for different problems. It's not only that they don't want them, okay? The problem is that the residents do not have the skills that are needed for this development. The government do not give to these residents tools to develop their abilities to work in this area. So I think this, but as you say, that this is, I think, the main problem. You know, the local people in poor destinations that they have great tourist attractions, let's say, no? in general, they don't know how to do what to do. They don't have a, you know, what the governments give to them at the end of the day is not good. You know, I remember we visited a lot of natural parks here in Colombia, where the government put a lot of money there, developing paths, for example, developing hotels, you know, natural hotels, and so on. But you know, they don't start as a you know, they don't involve the local people, or when they involve them, the business is not good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you say, but the idea is great, but we have to work a lot on how to develop this. Sorry, I give Miriam. Sorry, Miriam, because you wanted to participate.
No. The only thing that I would tell is probably Sandra can talk about this. It's just an information. This contest that it will the ceremony hours is on Monday. It's a contest organized by a friend of mine, which is Professor Claudia Bolzer from Germany, Fachhochschule of Berlin. And it is an event, a contest for a student about social entrepreneurship competition in tourism. Then probably Sandra could say something.
And you know, we can connect also Beatrice and Paula with this.
I think that it would be a good idea.
Yes,
I'm sure that Claudia would be very happy.
Can you put the link, Miriam, in the chat?
Probably Sandra could do that because she's Sandra is there or not?
Yes.
Sandra, do you have the real link? Because you are a member of the jury.
Yeah, I have it. I will share in a few seconds. About what Miriam says, I think it's an important event. I didn't know about it. It's a competition about social tourism entrepreneurship, something like that. But I haven't studied all the proposals. The idea is that every member of the jury must study a proposal and make an evaluation. But I think this is a kind of these initiatives that goes in this line of positive tourism.
Yeah.
I hope to share more information next time because the ceremony is next Monday, and I still need to check my my proposal. Okay, but in a few minutes I'm going to share the link they give us, because the idea is to share this link with the idea that every person that can join to the event can do it because it's free and open. Okay, thank you, Miriam, for remember this
Yes, and I want to say just another thing. You know, I am not a big expert in your area, but from the pedagogical point of view, I have the impression that here in Switzerland also there is no link. The people that are making sustainability and the people who are talking about management are talking about management, and I don't think that there is, and there are somehow some words that cannot talk. Because probably a lot of people working in sustainability are geographer, humanist geographer, that, yes, you see what I mean. Yeah. And from the point of view of the people that working in statistics and econometric, we have a very big problem because we cannot talk about real index that we can use. You see, it's, the fact that there is no index, it's one of the for me, from humble point of view, a big reason that this theme cannot go directly in econometrics or economic studies. And this is always discussion about that. This is my personal point of view.
Yeah.
But in the Institute of Forecaster, we have opened a new section, which is about public good. You see, then public good has to be with social things. How important is to have a park in this area, and this is a big avenue, and it would be a special issue of the International Journal of Forecasting about this subject, forecasting public good.
Yeah.
No, there is a link. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you, Gab, for giving me the floor.
Beatrice, Paula, do you want to comment something, or if not, I think Ingrid wanted to ask something or to comment.
Yes, a comment and a question. Well, after all this situation, it's evident that it's needed a reset for the management practices due to the social and environmental issues nowadays. So I find this idea fascinating. I don't know if you already mentioned it, because I got late, but I do have a question. In this case, Uruguay has been chosen, besides being your home country, for the country brand name Uruguay Natural, or for being one of the countries with most green areas in Latin America.
The choice of Uruguay was in the history of the project. I explained when we choose the project, it was because the group that decided to do this project was from Uruguayans in Europe, and particularly in France, that wanted to make something for the future for the Uruguay, and the pedagogical and ecological choose was for the project. It was in 2017, and after that we make a project, and we search a territory to the park, and this the natural Uruguay Natural, the other things, that was an element important, but it wasn't the choose, the first choose.
Thank you so much for your answer.
More questions, more comments? We have a lot of things to do with this positive tourism. Hugo, please. In Spanish, if you want, Hugo.
Hola, ¿cómo andan? La voy a hacer en español, y la pregunta es para Paula. Primero es un poco saber cómo va el cronograma, la planificación del proyecto, en qué etapa estamos, que bueno, eso me parece muy interesante. La segunda cuestión, me parece que para que este proyecto, o sea exitoso y se pueda llevar a cabo, me parece que dos partes fundamentales son, o sea, la interacción con los locales, que la verdad, o sea, creo que son los que lo van a llevar a cabo. Yo lo veo hoy como que la idea nace lejos y es todo como bueno, bien teórico, y me encanta, pero la verdad que me gustaría saber un poco cómo es su arraigo ahí con los locales y la interacción, y un poco también cuál es si tuvieron, entiendo que el mix entre lo privado y el interés económico es al final lo que en realidad hace que el proyecto se dinamice y que pueda tener éxito. Pero también me interesa un poco saber si tuvieron interacción, como decía Ingrid, con la marca Uruguay Natural, o con el Ministerio de Turismo en sí, porque sí hay muchas acciones de incentivo en Uruguay particularmente para tratar de descentralizar, por decir una manera, el turismo. O sea, tengo en mente un proyecto que se llamaba, creo que era el Río de los Pájaros Pintados, algo así, que bueno, que iba todo por la orilla del río Uruguay incentivando muchas áreas locales. Eran más pueblos chicos, pero Salto también, bueno, es una ciudad bastante grande, pero también puede estar incluida, y entiendo que ese apoyo también es fundamental a la hora de más que nada de infraestructura, ¿no? Y esa interacción puede ayudar. Y otro aspecto que me parece que también, como decía Gabriel, que capaz que va a ser fundamental a la hora de evaluar el éxito del proyecto, es un poco bajar a tierra. Vi que la parte de, bueno, los animales, bueno, un poco el inventario de animales, un poco de las plantas, qué se iba a plantar, bueno, saber un poco si esos aspectos se han trabajado, porque en realidad me parece fundamental para el engagement, ya sea de cualquier uruguayo que quiera ir a visitarlo, como de los locales también, ¿no? Era un poco eso. Gracias.
Bueno, respondo en español entonces también. Con respecto a la etapa, el proyecto está en un principio, estamos realmente en la concepción, que es un principio que hace muchos años, como decía, desde el 2017, 2018, que se ha empezado, se concibió este proyecto. Primero pasó de una idea a, bueno, ¿dónde lo vamos a poder hacer? Hubo varios lugares que fueron estudiados. No quiere decir de que va a ser únicamente en Salto, porque nuestro objetivo, nosotros se llama Utopía Verde, la asociación. Como utopía es todo muy utópico, muy teórico, efectivamente. Y de la idea esta de la utopía, la idea era que también no solamente pueda haber un solo lugar, sino que la metodología pueda ser registrada, pueda ser estudiada para que después se reproduzca en otros lugares, que sea en Uruguay, que sea en el resto del mundo. Entonces, estamos realmente en el principio. El predio, por el momento, es solo un predio de 50 hectáreas que está ahí en Salto, pero que han visitado una parte de nuestra asociación. Yo personalmente no he podido ir todavía con los problemas que hubo estos 2 últimos años. Las relaciones han sido muy lentas, y recientemente hemos creado un grupo entre nuestra asociación acá en París y la gente local en Salto, que hay asalariados, el director de la Asociación Cristiana de Jóvenes de Salto, y benévolos voluntarios que trabajan allá y que están muy implicados con la pedagogía del medio ambiente localmente. Y estamos haciendo reuniones de nuestro grupo regulares. Empezamos con una, la próxima es dentro de unas semanas, y una vez por mes tratamos de ver para ver cómo nos conocemos para poder avanzar sobre el proyecto. Todo esto por ahora es todo muy asociativo. La parte institucional está muy poco tocada. Empezó en un principio gracias a la embajada, porque en un principio estos encuentros internacionales venían por las embajadas de los diferentes países y el Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores, que coordinaba todas estas actividades de uruguayos viviendo en el exterior. Y hacia eso se creó un grupo de desarrollo sostenible creado por uruguayos en el exterior a nivel internacional. Y bueno, el único contacto era a nivel del Ministerio de Asuntos Exteriores y de lejos. El Ministerio del Turismo actualmente no tenemos contactos, pero estamos muy interesados en tener contactos con ellos con respecto a lo de Uruguay Natural, porque por supuesto tiene totalmente sentido. ¿Qué era el resto? La interacción con los locales, bueno, creo que ya lo dije. y los inventarios actualmente nos transmitieron el mapa, la Google View, pero no tenemos un mapa concreto de cómo es el territorio, el terreno del predio de 50 hectáreas, cómo está distribuido. Ahora estuvimos hablando del asunto de las lagunas, supimos que había diferentes animales que podían poner problema. Por ejemplo, hablaron de yacarés que podían haber en las lagunas, que es algo positivo, pero también puede ser algo negativo cuando se habla de acampar, sobre todo si el acampado no se hace en cabañas. Por eso quizás hayan hablado mucho también de instalar las cabañas. Y con respecto a la vegetación, nosotros les pedimos un inventario preciso de la vegetación, pero todavía eso no existe. Y hay personas especializadas allá en Salto, pero claro, nosotros quisiéramos también tener relación con la parte académica, también por eso nos pusimos en relación con ustedes, porque quizás ahora estamos hablando de management, de turismo, pero también haya un intercambio también interesante científico con la biología, con la ecología, y yo no sé si en Salto hay una facultad de ciencias también especializada en agronomía y todas esas cosas, creo que sí, y entonces quizás haya intercambios interesantes con estudios que puedan llevar más allá el proyecto.
Muchas gracias.
Bueno, muy bien. No sé, Hugo, si más o menos.
Sí, perfecto. Muchas gracias, Paula.
No sé si Benjamín escuchó aquí, pero es capaz que él quiere aportar algo sobre lo otro que se preguntaba, sobre la conexión con el proyecto de Urbe Natural o más. O alguien más si tiene alguna otra pregunta, algún otro comentario.
Si nosotros la dificultad que tenemos es, que tenemos es el hecho de estar lejos, efectivamente, y que, bueno, nuestros contactos vienen de lejos también. Nos pusimos en relación con respecto al hecho que veníamos de Francia, con la Cámara de Comercio francesa en Uruguay, también para desarrollar la parte de lo que decía Beatriz, de la parte económica del turismo, con el Instituto Paul Bocuse que nombró Beatriz, porque la Cámara de Comercio nos dijeron de que están desarrollando un grupo sobre la gastronomía y el turismo, y la gastronomía puede ser algo interesante también, porque nosotros también tenemos ese objetivo de desarrollar productos locales con respecto a la vegetación también, de tratar de ver cómo los productores locales de alrededor también pueden estar interesados y cómo puede haber una red más amplia sobre eso. Y bueno, la Cámara de Comercio francesa estaba interesada también quizás sobre los restaurantes, las panaderías que se puedan desarrollar francesas y que estén relacionadas con ellos. No sé si puede haber una relación total con todo esto, más bien quizás la hotelería y todo eso. Y con respecto a la embajada de Francia, también en Uruguay, nos pusimos en relación con ellos para ver si nos pueden poner en relación con los ministerios y otros.
No, Pablo, yo estaba pensando ahora, si te parece bien, si alguno de los estudiantes de la maestría está interesado en el tema, en participar del proyecto y demás, podría tomar esto como trabajo final de nuestra maestría, ¿sí? Lo que es el proyecto de negocios, por ejemplo, y el proyecto de negocios desde el punto de vista de la sostenibilidad y demás, ¿verdad? Así que si a alguno de los estudiantes que están aquí, o alguno de los que no están tampoco también, ¿verdad?, le interesa el tema, me lo dice y nos contactamos con Paula, si te parece bien, Paula. Me parece que podría
con
ser
mucho
una
gusto,
ayuda
sí,
para
con mucho
ustedes,
gusto.
y podría ser una buena experiencia para nuestros estudiantes de la maestría que les interese trabajar en esto, ¿verdad?
Muy bien, con mucho gusto.
¿Alguien más que quiera participar o decir alguna? Creo que también la idea nuestra con Beatriz, the idea with Beatrice that when we talked months ago was we will try to offer a course to the master program in positive tourism in the first semester of next year. So we will talk with Beatrice if there is this possibility, if we can have some support from somewhere, okay? Remember, Beatrice?
Yeah. And I think that I think it will be interesting to see the sustainability with a different way, with a management way.
Yeah, so let's keep in contact, Beatrice, just to, because we can start organizing this. If you agree, and if the students are interested in a course like this, we can start seeing how can we do it. I think in March of next year will be possible for you to come here, to come to Uruguay. So we can, but we have to start now to organize and to search for some funds and things like this. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's keep in touch also for this.
Yeah.
Okay. And for Paula also, we were talking with Sandra that it could be interesting to replicate this idea for some destination in Colombia. So let's also think if we can put you in touch with some people here in the business area, more or less in the destination and so on. More questions or comments? Most of the people is silent. Why? Do we have somebody who wants to make a defense of mainstream economics here in? No? Okay, if we don't have more, Beatrice, you want to say something?
I think it's more easy to have face-to-face meeting that like me.
Yeah, but you know this.
And we are happy in France because we begin face-to-face courses and it's very different. So
I know.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, this technology gives us the possibility of having you here now.
Yeah.
No? So it's the first approach. Next time, face-to-face.
Okay. Thank you very much to invite us to present.
We thank you and Paula very much. Let's keep in contact. And thank you very much for the people who commented and give questions. And let's see you next Thursday. We have Linda Osti from the University of Bolzano in Italy. That's all. Thank you very much, everybody. Gracias a todos por estar aquí. Y muchas gracias a Beatriz y a Paula por la muy buena presentación y introducirnos en este tema, y esperemos tenerlas aquí el año que viene, aquí en Uruguay. Digamos. Ahora estoy en Colombia, pero bueno, esperemos tenerlas en Uruguay. Un abrazo a todos.
En Colombia también, ¿por qué no?
También, claro que sí. Un abrazo a todos.
Chao. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye bye.